Good morning, fifth grader. Today's packet is for Wednesday, April 29th. We have mathematics, learning target notes and practice. Learning target. When two rectangular solids are together in real life, I can find the volumes by adding the volume of both solids together. Calculating volume of the irregular rectangular prism. Number 1. Decompose the object into multiple rectangular prisms. Number 2. Calculate the volume for each prism. Number 3. Find the sum of all prisms. Number 1. Create an expression for the following figure and calculate the volume. Number 2. Create an expression for the following figure and calculate the volume. Read each real-world scenario and use your understanding of volume to solve the problem. Mr. Elliot wants to build a boxed-in garden in his backyard. Using wooden slats, Mr. Elliot will construct an L-shaped garden to hold the topsoil. To plan for materials and space needed in his backyard, he sketched the drawing below of his plan. This drawing simply shows the area of the garden. Mr. Elliot's garden design. 4 feet, 7 feet, 9 feet, and 4 feet. If Mr. Elliot makes the walls of his garden box 2 feet tall, what is the volume in cubic feet of the garden that Mr. Elliot wants to build? To show your understanding of the problem, write a numerical expression to reflect the figure and evaluate the expression to calculate the volume. If bags of topsoil cost $2.75 and each bag contains 3 cubic feet, how many bags of soil will Mr. Elliot need to buy, and how much will that cost? Mathematics Learning Target Assessment. Daily Learning Target. When two rectangular solids are together in real life, I can find the volumes by adding the volume of both solids together. Number 1. How many cubes were used to build this figure? Be mindful, some of the cubes could be hidden. Is it A, 14 cubic units, B, 16 cubic units, C, 18 cubic units, or D, 20 cubic units? Number 2. Mr. Elliot needs to find the volume of this 3-step staircase. If he finds the total volume by adding the volume of each step, which math sentence will correctly show his work? Number 3. How many cubes were used to build this figure? Be mindful, some of the cubes could be hidden. Reading, practice notes and activity. Learning target. I can explain how an author uses reasons and evidence to support particular points in a text. I can identify which reasons and evidence support particular points in a text. Lesson. Authors use reasons and evidence to support their main points or ideas. Reasons and evidence, page 34. I can explain how an author uses reasons and evidence to support particular points in a text. Information, opinion, reasons, evidence. How does the author use reasons and evidence to support the first point or idea in the passage below? What do you think of insects? Do you think they are interesting, or do you think they are gross? It is true that some insects are pests and may be annoying, but insects are important creatures, even though most are very tiny. Insects perform many valuable jobs in our world. Ants, for example, eat all kinds of litter on the ground, such as dead plants and other insects. Ladybugs eat aphids, a pest that eats crops. Bees and butterflies carry pollen between the plants they visit. This helps the plants produce seeds. Other insects make products for humans. Bees produce honey. Silk moth caterpillars make silk that we use in clothing. And some people even eat insects as a treat or snack. The author's first point is underlined, and the reasons and evidence are highlighted in yellow. So the first point is that insects perform many valuable jobs in our world. The reasons and evidence is that ants, for example, eat all kinds of litter on the ground, such as dead plants and other insects. Ladybugs eat aphids, a pest that eats crops. And bees and butterflies carry pollen between the plants they visit. This helps the plants produce seeds. How does the author use reasons and evidence to support the second point in the passage? The author's second point is underlined, and the supporting reasons and evidence are highlighted in yellow. So the second point is that other insects make products for humans. And the reasons and evidence is that bees produce honey, silk moth caterpillars make silk that we use in clothing, and some people even eat insects as a treat or snack. Practice. Read the passage below, Westward Expansion and Oregon Trail, and answer the 2 multiple choice questions. Westward Expansion, the Louisiana Purchase. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson bought a huge portion of land west of the Mississippi. He bought this land from France. The new territory was called the Louisiana Purchase. It more than doubled the size of the United States. The Louisiana Purchase cost $15 million total. That amounts to about 4 cents an acre. The land included 828,000 square miles of new land. Now, Americans would be responsible for exploring and settling much of this huge continent. The age of westward expansion was about to start. The manifest destiny. By the 1840s, Americans envisioned a nation that spread from sea to shining sea. They felt that it was their duty to spread out across the land. The belief in democracy was so strong that Americans wanted to spread it across the entire continent. To them, exploring and cultivating new territory was the destiny of the young country and its citizens. Soon, the phrase, manifest destiny, was echoing in newspapers and political speeches. Many American adventurers would go west to seek their fortunes. The Oregon Trail. Go west, young man. Have you ever wondered how everyone spread out across this country from the original 13 colonies? During the period of westward expansion, many settlers traveled across the same 2,000-mile trail to the west. The Oregon Trail stretched from Missouri to Oregon. The journey took 4 to 6 months. Covered wagons were loaded with foods and supplies. There was little room for more than 1 or 2 people to ride, so most of the pioneers had to walk the whole way, sometimes without shoes. Can you imagine walking all the way across the United States and barefoot? The trip was very challenging. Crossing rivers was extremely dangerous. Often parts of the wagon would break. Some people died from sickness or fatigue or even bad weather. A disease called cholera was an especially big problem. In the days of the Oregon Trail, cholera had no cure. Once someone showed the slightest symptoms of illness, he or she could die within a few hours. After a while, the grass alongside the trail started to disappear. Too many horses and cows had been grazing in the same spot from all of the traffic. The later pioneers had trouble finding food for their livestock. The covered wagons traveled in long trains or caravans for safety. At night, the settlers would gather their caravan into a big circle. In the middle of the circle, they would build a campfire, eat, and sleep. Which of the following supporting details shows a way in which people prepared to travel out west? Mark only one oval. At night, the settlers would gather their caravan into a big circle. B. Covered wagons were loaded with food and supplies. C. They felt that it was their duty to spread out across the land. Or D. Many American adventurers would go west to seek their fortunes. Number 2. After reading the Oregon Trail, what evidence supports the main idea the trip out west was very challenging? Mark only one oval. The Oregon Trail stretched from Missouri to Oregon. The journey took 4 to 6 months. B. Too many horses and cows had been grazing in the same spot from all of the traffic. C. At night, the settlers would gather their caravan into a big circle. Or D. Once someone showed the slightest symptoms of illness, like cholera, he or she could die within a few hours. Reading exit slip. Tornadoes. Did you ever see the movie The Wizard of Oz? A tornado sweeps up Dorothy and Toto, sending them to a new world where there are witches and talking lions. That entire story is fiction, but tornadoes are real and they are serious business. In fact, they can be the most dangerous storms of all. Tornadoes are sometimes referred to as twisters or cyclones. They are shaped like a cylinder. They are born in thunderclouds. The winds inside a tornado swirl around and around and can be more than 300 miles per hour. The winds are so strong that tornadoes can lift animals, cars, and even houses. The United States has more tornadoes than any other country in the world. States such as Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska are hit hard by tornadoes. This part of the country is known as Tornado Alley. Tornado season is during the springtime and summer. If the conditions are right, a tornado can happen any time of the year. Hurricanes. Hurricanes are tropical storms that start in the ocean, waters near the equator. The storm moves its way north where the air is cooler. The wind gets stronger and the rain gets heavier. The eye of the storm is located in the center of the storm. It is the storm's calmest part. There is no rain in the eye, and it can spread across 20 miles. The winds around the eye can blow as much as 200 miles per hour. They have the ability to uproot trees from the ground. They can also blow glass out of windows. In the United States, summer and early fall are hurricane season. Every new season, tropical storms are labeled. The names follow alphabetical order and alternate between male and female names. For example, the first hurricane may be Hurricane Andrew, then Barbara, Christopher, Deborah, Ephraim, etc. Hurricanes can last up to 14 days long. They travel for thousands of miles across the ocean. Most of the time, they never reach the coast of the U.S., but when they do hit the coast, conditions become very dangerous. When water levels rise, there can be floods and mudslides. Houses close to the shore can be wiped out, and the people who live there can be in grave danger. Question 1. After reading tornadoes, what evidence supports the main idea that tornadoes can be the most dangerous storms of all? Mark only one oval. A. They are shaped like a cylinder. They are born in thunderstorms. B. The winds inside a tornado swirl around and around and can be more than 300 miles per hour. C. States such as Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska are known as Tornado Alley. And D. The winds are so strong that tornadoes can lift animals, cars, and even houses. Number 2. After reading hurricanes, what evidence does not support the main idea? Hurricane conditions become very dangerous. Mark only one oval. When water levels rise, there can be floods and mudslides. B. Houses close to the shore can be wiped out, and the people who live there can be in grave danger. C. The eye of the storm is located in the center of the storm. It is the storm's calmest part. Indeed, they have the ability to uproot trees from the ground. They can also blow glass out of windows. Question 3. Which main idea is expressed in both passages? Mark only one oval. A. The United States has more tornadoes and hurricanes than any other country in the world. B. Each hurricane tornado is named according to the time when it strikes. C. Hurricanes and tornadoes can be very dangerous storms. Or D. Tornadoes and hurricanes are shaped like a cylinder and their winds can blow as much as 200 miles per hour. Which supporting detail is evidence for the main idea? The United States has more tornadoes than any other country in the world. Mark only one oval. A. Tornado season is during the springtime and summer. If the conditions are right, a tornado can happen any time of the year. B. They are born in thunderclouds. The winds inside a tornado swirl around and can be more than 300 miles per hour. C. In fact, they can be the most dangerous storms of all. And D. Most of the time, they never reach the coast of the U.S. Writing lesson overview. Learning target. I can write an opinion piece on a topic, supporting my point of view with reasons and evidence. Weekly learning plan. This week will focus on opinion writing. This is your opportunity to practice the power of using your thoughts to effectively communicate your opinion. In order to allow you to work on the different elements of a complete writing piece, each day has its own focus. By Thursday, you will have a completed opinion piece and be ready to try one in one sitting on Friday. This week you will, on Monday, read the prompt and create a plan using a graphic organizer, Foursquare. This is your chance to brainstorm ideas and design the flow of your piece. On Tuesday, write the introduction. Be sure to grab your reader's attention with a great hook and state the purpose of your writing piece. Wednesday, Thursday, write the body of your piece using strong supporting details such as examples, explanations, and experiences. Make your plan come alive in your piece. On Friday, write your conclusion. This is your chance to bring all of your thoughts to an end and leave the reader thinking. Writing the prompt, learning target. I can write an opinion piece on a topic supporting my point of view with reasons and evidence. Using the opinion prompt and your Foursquare organizer that you used to analyze your prompt, begin writing your body to support your opinion, 1 to 2 paragraphs for your writing piece. Make sure to tie your details together in this paragraph. Writing situation. At lunch each day, students are made to sit at a table with only children from their homeroom. Many children want to be able to sit at other tables with friends. Writing directions. Write an email to the principal presenting your opinion on whether or not children should be allowed to sit with friends at different tables in the cafeteria. Use facts and details to support your opinion. Social Studies. Lesson Notes and Practice. The Indian Removal Act. By the 1820s and 1830s, traveling west had become more popular. Many of the American settlers pushed into land that belonged to 5 Native American groups: the Cherokee, Creek, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Seminole. Life would soon be different for these natives. The U.S. president at the time, President Jackson, wanted to continue westward expansion and asked Congress to pass the Indian Removal Act. This law would give the president the power to force natives to move from their homeland in exchange for land west of the Mississippi, which is now Oklahoma. It was called Indian Territory. When the act was passed, the natives resisted, but after several years, most of these tribes were defeated and forced to move west. And you can see the map. Locate each of the 5 tribes and their routes as they were forced toward the Indian Territory. The Trail of Tears. One of the native groups, the Cherokee, fought even harder to keep their land by going to court. Although the court ruled in their favor and allowed them to keep the land, it was not enforced, and the Cherokee were still forced to leave their land, traveling over 800 miles, mostly by foot, on a pathway that became known as the Trail of Tears. Lesson 4, Indian Act Removal and the Trail of Tears. The Learning Target. I can explain the impact of the Indian Removal Act. I can describe the Trail of Tears. Which 5 Native American tribes were affected by the Indian Removal Act? List them here. The Indian Removal Act was... Journal question. What were some of the hardships that the Cherokees faced on the Trail of Tears? Do you think the government had the right to make the natives move? Explain. Learning target self-reflection. I can explain the impact of the Indian Removal Act. I can describe the Trail of Tears. Place a check mark below to show your understanding of today's topic. I got it, almost there, or I need help. And I gave myself this rating because... Social Studies Learning Target Assessment. All of the following was not a Native American tribe that was forced from their homelands. A. Cherokee, B. Creek, C. Chickasaw, or D. Inuit. Number 2. The Indian Removal Act was A. Removing Native Americans from the plant, B. Removing settlers from Native American lands, C. Removing Native Americans from their homelands, or D. Removing laws from Native Americans. Number 3. There were many hardships on the Trail of Tears. One hardship was A. There wasn't good cell service, B. The Native Americans had too much to eat, C. There was not enough food for the Native Americans, D. There were too many options for transportation. Number 4. Which Native American group fought back and went to court to protect their lands? A. Choctaw, B. Seminole, C. Chickasaw, or D. Cherokee. Computer Apps Daily Lesson. What would a super digital citizen do? Directions Part 1. Work with your partner to review the scenarios below. Then write what a super digital citizen, or SDC, would do to be an upstander. Oh no, someone spreads rumors about somebody else online. What would SDC do? Number 2. Are you kidding? While playing a game, one player is writing insulting things to another player. What would an SDC do? Number 3. Unbelievable. Someone forwards a message that was meant to be private to someone else. What would an SDC do? Directions Part 2. Choose one of the problems from Part 1. Create a comic strip in which your superhero is an upstander against cyberbullying and saves the day. Use illustrations and captions to tell your story. And that is the end of this NTI day.